I recently completed my first playthrough of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is a remaster of the old Ninja Gaiden game which came out on Xbox 360 all the way back in 2008. As a complete newcomer to this series, I had no idea what to expect apart from the horror stories I've heard in the past about how insanely hard this game was supposed to be. So I went into this expecting the Devil May Cry version of Dark Souls, but to be honest with you, playing on normal difficulty, I didn't actually struggle at all. I only actually died twice in the campaign. The first time was fighting the first boss, and the second time I was kind of being overly cocky trying to kill a bunch of enemies in a specific way. Yes, if I amped the difficulty level up, it probably would have been a whole different ball game, but I'm old and tired, so I didn't want to spend all my time raging at a game. I just wanted to spend my spare time enjoying it. As a newcomer to the series, I really did enjoy Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and no, I've not played the first one, and I actually don't think you need to play it to appreciate what this game has to offer. Alongside the difficulty level of this game not being frustratingly hard, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black was also refreshingly linear. We currently live in a world where almost every single player game has to be open world, filled with meaningless side tasks for a small reward to keep you playing for longer and longer, which is okay in a lot of games. But something I have missed for a long time is going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 and then etc. It is so nice and it is so refreshing. I did not realise how much I missed that until playing this game. If like me you have never played Ninja Gaiden before and you're wondering if you can just jump straight into this one, then the answer is yes. If you are looking to follow the story, I'm going to say good luck because I have absolutely no idea what's going on, and from what I've been told I think the first game is similar, but truth be told I'm here for the kick-ass action and that's all I really need. One minute you're in a jungle and the next minute we're fighting a demon on top of the Statue of Liberty. It's crazy, the game is everywhere, but I'm all for it. Let's get into the meat and bones of this game, and that is the combat. The fast-paced, insane, bloody, brutal, Devil May Cry style combat is enough to make you go, ooh, every 5 seconds. The level of decapitation caused from the blades separating every limb from the enemy's body makes you feel the power. The first few levels I was struggling to get a grip of the combat and how to use the dodge and block maneuvers correctly, but the game actually forces you to learn these basics really fast by throwing you outnumbered in the first 5 seconds of the game to a handful of ninjas who, if I must say, do not hold back in the slightest. They just go for it. I feel like the game does a pretty good job of letting you know the difficulty level straight away and separating the boys from the men, and to see who can handle the heat and who is going to get out of the kitchen. Despite this game being called Ninja Gaiden, the main character dresses mostly like a ninja, but don't be fooled into thinking there's any stealth mechanics whatsoever, because being a one-man killing machine is the whole purpose of the combat, and that remains consistent throughout the whole game. The combat is as simple as most classic games in the genre, with X being light attack and Y being heavy attack, with of course mixed variants of moves being viewed on the command sheet, which can be ingrained into your memory for real-time combat. If you press B during combat, shurikens are thrown, but they are utterly useless. They barely do any damage at all whatsoever. I tried to test this out on a person who was half dead. This enemy had like one missing arm and like he was just pretty much one shot, and I threw about 20 shurikens at him and it finally killed him. So you can actually kill people with the shurikens, but I can imagine it'll probably take probably about 100 hits plus to actually kill somebody. So it's more of just to keep enemies away from you and to help keep your combo going. There are multiple weapons to unlock as you progress through the story. Almost every level for the first half of the game you get a new weapon, and they are all different but all equally effective. From samurai swords to spears or knives on chains, whatever the heck they're called, I found myself toggling weapons numerous times during combat depending on the enemy. For the final few missions, however, I found myself predominantly using the greatsword. As more enemies were attacking in higher quantities, I could sweep more and more, covering a large spread, especially using the charged up hold Y attack. The sword basically Beyblades, spins around, attacking any enemies enemies nearby. With the story being as all over the place as it is, there are also some levels where you play as new female characters, which just seem to be kind of like thrown into the mix as a pure fan service with, well, let's say jiggly physics. I'm gonna completely butcher all the names, but alongside the main character Ryu Hayabusa, in the randomly placed missions in between, players can control their additional 3 characters, which is Momi, Ayami, and Rachel. I can get Rachel, who all have their own unique weapons and movesets, which are all unique completely to them. These felt completely like bonus missions with no real relevance, but I enjoyed playing as these characters, and I think my favourite was probably Rachel, not just because I can actually say her name, but her gigantic hammer absolutely obliterated enemies with ease. The level designs were pretty straightforward and visually pleasing, I may add, but a lot of them had like invisible walls to keep you on the right path, which is what I expect from an older game like this. But the most frustrating part was the forced parkour. Some areas could not be progressed without a series of wall running and some supposed basic platforming. However, the platforming didn't always work and the camera angles felt like the hardest boss in the game. There was one wall running bit in particular that had me pulling my hair out for like 10 minutes straight due to the camera angle consistently changing. I could have sworn that the tutorial it had a few minutes earlier said that when you jump from wall to wall you need to press A and then hold A again onto the next wall to keep it going, but because this wall kind of turned and it was still technically the same, well, a connecting wall, you're supposed to hold A, so I was pressing the wrong buttons. It was just a crazy weird corner transition. This sort of BS happened way more often than it should, but eventually I did get used to it. The enemy variations are cool and stuff with the ninjas and the weird crazy monsters and whatnot, and all the bosses are really cool, but do not get me started on them damn fish. It has like these weird little blue piranhas floating around, and if you hit one of them, all the others will attack you. And you don't even have enough movesets to kind of kill them all off. The best way I end up kind of like beating them all was by holding the Y button with the big greatsword, and he spins it around and kills about 3 or 4 of them in one go. Occasionally the last one gets you, but that's just a sacrifice you have to make. I don't think it's even possible to make it through these without getting hit. And there was one water area which I just didn't have any idea where to go, and I spent about 15 minutes looking around, and then I looked it up online and I seen some guy streaming it, and I skipped his stream to where he was playing it, and then he was looking around for about 15-20 minutes. I skipped to what you had to do, and there was about 5 or 6 of them weird little piranha fish things which you just have to go and kill. Once you kill them, you can progress to fighting the boss, which is like some big water dragon snake thing. Shops usually appear at least twice per level, usually one in the start or middle point, and usually always one just before you do the boss fight at the end of the level. Throughout the levels you can find these little blue skulls every now and again. They're kind of like little hidden items. At first there was no explanation of what these actually do, but it turns out when you collect 10 of them you get a 10% discount in the shop, and then when you collect 20 of them you get a 30% discount in the shop. I didn't actually collect any more than that. I think I got like 21 or 22, so I only got the 30%, so I can't tell you if the discount goes any higher. The bosses were pretty standard with nothing too memorable, usually just your generic boss fights with predictable moves, some cool designs but nothing that really stood out. There weren't really any bosses that I found difficult, but a lot of them just seemed to be the same, where it was a hacking contest of who can deliver the most blows and staying alive using a few healing items. Combat wise and visually wise, some of the designs were quite cool, apart from one of the very last bosses which you had to defeat with a ranged weapon. That boss being right at the end of the game was so underwhelming. I was really worried that it was going to be the last boss because it was terrible, but luckily it wasn't, and the final boss was a little bit more rewarding and more fun. Once I completed the main story mode, I tried to do some of the additional content, which was tag missions, which allowed you to select a character as an AI partner to fight alongside against waves of enemies with different battle conditions. I played this game mainly while in Discord chat with one of my friends who was also playing the same game. The tag missions just to me seemed like a completely wasted opportunity by not having them as online co-op missions. It was very disappointed because some of them might have been quite fun. So with that disappointment, I only played a couple of the beginner missions and then I jumped right into one of the last missions, which seemed insanely hard with enemies completely like one-shotting me or killing me in 2 hits. So I'm not sure if you level up in this mode. I didn't really give it much chance to try that any further, but like I said, it would have been more fun if it was co-op, and it's just a complete wasted opportunity, and that is just a shame. I see quite a lot of people mistaking this game for a remake instead of a remaster, but it's actually a remaster. It's just done so well, and the combat being so fluent in the game anyway, people are none the wiser, especially newcomers to myself to the series who's never played the previous game, so I can't really compare the combat. It just seems super fluent and it works really well, so I've got to give props to the old game if that is how the combat is. As you can probably tell from this video that my opinions are completely conflicted when it comes to this game. There was parts of this game where I'm thinking, wow, I love this game, and then there was parts where I was thinking, oh my gosh, screw this game. I can only really say at the end of the day, I actually had quite a lot of fun playing this game, and I'm going to give this a review of the most solid 7 game I have played in recent years. Is it absolutely incredible? No. Is it really enjoyable? Yes, and that's really what matters. I played this game on Game Pass, so I didn't have to pay any extra money for it, so I wasn't really disappointed. But if I paid full price for this game, like £40–50, I would have been disappointed. I would have been very disappointed. But for £15 to £20 max, I would highly recommend this game. So bear that in mind, how much you've played for this game and the longevity of how much fun you get out of it. Sometimes the pros outweigh the cons. The main story mode for this game was completed by me in about 10 hours, just over a weekend, so bear that in mind. If you have played this game, or if you have played the older version of this game, let me know in the comments below. Does this game actually differ quite a lot, or is it very much the same game? If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment, do all that. It really helps me out in the algorithms. It's Mark from Modern Tech. Thanks for watching.
Somehow, I suspect we have different reasons for seeking him out.
It doesn't matter. You'll never find him. Now go back to the underworld where you belong.